Welcome to another Cline adventure. In this episode, we're still in South Australia and we're heading from Hawker up to Mount Eyre. In our last episode, we ended up in Hawker after finishing the Flinders Ranges. We refueled and got some extra supplies and started to head off. Now on the Outback Highway, we farewell to Hawker and spend the next 274 kilometres heading to Maree. This is a great view from the Outback Highway looking back into Whoopina Pound. This is the other side of Bunaroo Gorge where Razorback Lookout is. Just off the highway, we popped into Copley. We had to stop into Cookie's Outback Motors to pick up some screws for the big 79. Cookie's got everything. We're back on the highway and heading up to Lyndhurst. You can turn right here to the Scenic track, but we're heading straight to Maree. Population 30 people in Lyndhurst and lots of history. Unfortunately, the pub was closed, but it is up for sale or lease. It looks like there's accommodation available in these dongers. We hit the famous Oodnadatta Track and go the 25 kilometres to Farina. The Farina bakery is still open, but it's only open between the end of May and the end of July. It only has an 8-week season and is famous for its underground bakery. Farina was the railhead from Port Augusta in 1882 until 1884, when the line was extended first to Maree and then to Alice Springs. It boomed in the years between 1882 and 1884, and then began the long years of decline. There grew a cosmopolitan population of Aborigines, Chinese, Europeans, and Afghans. There were those upon whom the town was centered: the station master, the storekeeper, the hotelier, the pastoralist, and the postmaster, and a whole range of outsiders and transients. For a few years the rains were usually good, and the farms and town flourished, reaching a population of about 600 before the copper mine and silver mine closed in 1927. At its peak, the town had a bakery, grain store, 2 breweries, 2 hotels, a general store, post office, Anglican church, 5 blacksmiths, and a school, and even a house of ill repute. Then the normal climate returned, bringing years of drought and dust storms, which eventually forced the abandonment of the town. The Farina Cemetery was last used in 1960, and the town was finally abandoned in the 1980s. The line closed in the 1980s and was removed in 1993. It's time to make our way up the highway. It's about 57 kilometres into Maree, and we're going to pass the John Stewart commemorative plaque to commemorate their expedition in 1861 and 1862. She's a dry and rocky country out here. Just before you get into Maree, you can turn right and head up the Birdsville Track. We're a few weeks late for the Camel Cup, but we'll head over and get some fuel, and then have a good look around town. The digital photos today are so much better than the first photos I took in 1997. Tom Cruise's 1936 Leyland Badger mail truck. Surprisingly, for such a large town, the population is only 65 people. I used to drive these back in the late 80s. Time to go inside for a drink. Love the character in all these Outback pubs. She's a fine old hotel with a lot of history. Free camping at the back of the hotel, but there's no water or power. The shower is not very good. We decided to take a scenic flight over Lake Eyre and Lake Eyre South. Here's a look at Maree from the air. There's the track heading south and north, and that's heading north on the Oodnadatta Track. This is a famous dog fence that runs for 5,300 kilometers. This is the track that runs into the Marree homestead. A bit hard to see, but just over to the top left-hand side of your screen is the homestead. We're currently going over Lake Eyre South. These are the large rivers like the Warburton and the Cooper that fill into Lake Eyre North and down into Lake Eyre South. Lake Eyre hasn't been filled since 1974, and in 2011 it was only half full, and at the moment it is only a quarter full. The bird life here is amazing. 90% of Australia's pelicans are actually hatched here on Delhunty Island. Lake Eyre traditionally only fills every 30 years, but 9 months ago there was big storms in North Queensland, and those floodwaters have made their way through Eyre Creek that goes right through the Simpson Desert and down into Lake Eyre. Marree Man is quite modern. Discovered by a pilot in 1998, it appears to depict an Aboriginal man hunting with a stick. The figure is 2.7 kilometers tall with a perimeter of 28 kilometers, extending over an area of about 620 acres. Its origin remains a mystery, with no one claiming responsibility for its creation. After 3 hours, it's time to land and start making our way up the Oodnadatta Track. But before we do that, it's probably a good idea to head over and see the Lake Eyre Yacht Club. Make sure you look up the website for the Lake Eyre Yacht Club. It has all the history and how this club was founded. This clubhouse wasn't here in 1997 when I was last here. It wasn't built until 2008. We're heading to Coward Springs Campground. It's just after lunch, but we're going to stop in and see the Kurt America Terminal and also Margaret Slide. The roads are open and it's only 130 k's to Coward Springs. The Oodnadatta Track is famous for running alongside the old Ghan Railway. This is the Maree homestead turnoff, which you had seen previously in our scenic flight. Plenty of ruins litter the Oodnadatta Track. This was wild, travelling down the Oodnadatta Track. In the middle of nowhere, we come across all this junkyard art. Back in the cars and still heading north. This is a large section of bridge from the old Ghan railway. Looks like most of the old timber sleepers have been removed. There's still a few there. Here's where the Oodnadatta Track pulls in really close to Lake Eyre South, and you've got a viewing area. Normally this is a dry salt pan. Here we just arrive at the Kurtamerka terminal. Doesn't take long with this hard rocky ground. Once they have torrential rain in this area, they have these huge rivers that run through here. Someone's letterbox for a large homestead. We arrive at Margaret Siding. These were all railway stations for the old Ghan railway. We have finally arrived to Coward Springs. The owners will come and escort you to your private campsite. Each campsite is pretty secluded and you've got your own fire pit. Here's a wood-fired hot water system. Just got to wait about 20 minutes and you got nice hot water. These are the shower facilities, which work really great from the bore water. We'll walk around the campsite and have a look at all the little attractions. These are the communal pit toilets. Coffee and cake is served in the caravan on the left, and the caravan on the right has all the souvenirs. Here's the famous Coward Spring. The museum's worth a visit. The wetlands are not natural to this area. It was in 1886 when the South Australian government did a 120-metre borehole into the artesian basin. The salty water corroded the bore head and casing. The water then was flowing uncontrolled to form a large pool. This wasn't fixed till 1993, 107 years later. There's no fuel at Coward Springs. Next fuel is at Williams Creek. After a good night's sleep, it's time to get up and hit the road again and watch a beautiful sunrise. Today we're going to drive the 275 kilometers to Oodnadatta. The first leg we're going to go to Williams Creek, which is 73 kilometers. Not far up the road, you come to the Beresford Railway siding. Coming up, we only got 17 k's to head into Williams Creek. Here's a turn-off if you want to go over to Lake Eyre. Nice to see a bit of bitumen. William Creek has certainly changed. Here's some old photos from 1997. Another Outback pub full of character. This is a sign that was outside in my photo back in 1997. All these trees weren't here back in 1997 either. I'll take a lot more footage this time, and then we'll see in another 26 years on how many changes have been made. How's these guys in the little mugs? There's 4 of them. They're not 4-wheel drives, but they've come down to William Creek for lunch, and then they're going to turn around and head back to the Simpson Desert. They obviously did it because I caught up with them in Birdsville a couple of weeks later. Time to do the 201 kilometers to Oodnadatta. You don't really need an off-road caravan for these roads, but you definitely want off-road suspension and good tyres. Still lots of water laying around from recent rains. This is the raised ground where the railway tracks used to sit. The landscape's forever changing. The Eljabrakina Bridge spans the Neil River and was officially opened to rail traffic in 1892. After a severe flood in 1974, which almost reached the bridge decks, the line was closed in 1981, and a new route was built 100 miles further west. Built in the Victorian era, this bridge was the longest bridge in South Australia until 2014. It's only about 55 kilometres to Oodnadatta. It's been a long day with plenty of stopovers. Finally nice to be in Oodnadatta. The famous Pink Roadhouse. They don't just sell fuel, they sell groceries as well as fresh food and takeaway food. With a post office as well. The Transcontinental Pub is Aboriginal owned and Aboriginal run. Here's a picture of the old railway station at Oodnadatta, and the museum, and the general store. Wow, 26 years ago, the museum looks identical. The roadhouse and the general store are definitely different. Oodnadatta has a population of approximately 277 people. The campground is across a laneway from the Pink Roadhouse. There's powered sites, unpowered sites, good facilities. The camp kitchen's a bit run down, but you got a laundry as well, it's $6 a load. I think it was around $15 a night. Next morning, it's time to leave Oodnadatta and head to Mount Eyre. The roads are still chewed up from rain that they had over a year ago. Normally the area only gets about 200 mil of rain. This part of the outback has had a lot of rain. I've never seen it so green. Hamilton Station is about 117 kilometres from Oodnadatta. The station sits on just over 7,000 square kilometres of land and runs about 8,000 cattle. This turnoff is very confusing. You should be able to turn right here to go to Dalhousie Springs. This old sign shows it's only 75 kilometres, not 135. I'm heading to Mount Eyre anyway, so I'm going to straight ahead. Slowly getting closer, it's a big country that doesn't seem to end. Hard country for cattle, they must have pretty tough hooves. Wish I got the GoPro out here. This little river crossing was nice solid bottom, nothing to worry about. Come up over the top of the wheels. Plenty of farming infrastructure out here, big water tanks and a lot of cattle holding yards. We arrive at the Aringa waterhole. This cattle yard seems quite old, but definitely well used. I'm going to head down to the Aringa waterhole, and then we'll go up to the Aringa ruins. This waterhole is permanent as it's spring fed. Looks like free camping down the bottom there. These must have been vegetable gardens and an enclosed area to stop the birds getting to the plants. We'll head back out onto the main track. We've got to keep heading north to Mount Eyre. We've still got 65 kilometres to go. I don't know why anyone would come this way and do all these extra kilometres to get to Dalhousie. In 1901, the state government drilled a 610-metre bore, and a large windmill, this windmill, was built to reach the hot sub-artesian water, which rose to within 43 metres of the surface. The property was also once an important railhead for the original Ghan Railway. You turn right here down to Dalhousie, which is 61 k's, or straight ahead 10 kilometres. We're almost into Mount Eyre. Come across the grader, making the road a lot smoother. You can see how much the water has washed out the roads. You can see the grader's done a great job fixing the road. We're finally here. We've made it to Mount Eyre. Now to go in, get some fuel, and get ready for sort out our accommodation. This is a levee bank that goes right around the whole property. It stops at flooding. Unfortunately, there's no mobile reception at Mount Eyre Hotel, Optus or Telstra. Fuel was $2.95 and in Alice Springs was about $1.80. Tony has his workshop down here. Nice yards at the back of the hotel. They even got a little pond. Inside's a great bar, plenty of meals to choose from, and souvenirs to buy. Apparently the poor guy that left his bike here broke his collarbone. Apparently the Unimog is used for recoveries, and this is the campground area. And the camp kitchen, and great facilities, toilets and showers. You can even get an air-conditioned donger. Next morning we get up, and next episode we're heading to the Bins Track. Thanks again for watching another Klein Adventure. Don't forget to like and subscribe.